Ah, oh,
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Meditation Town Hall with Lama Surya Das. We're very happy
Hello, everybody.
to have you here.
Meditation Town Hall with Lama Surya Das.
Oops, I've got my
We're very
audio
happy.
echoing. There we go.
the more the better. We could have 3 echoes.
So, as hopefully you saw, I just want to make a couple announcements about upcoming events. The live virtual advanced meditation retreat with Lama Surya Das is coming up on October 21st to 23rd. Living Enlightenment, Being Dzogchen, Exercising Super Awareness. So this, the advanced meditation retreat, if I'm not wrong, is open to anyone who has already completed a retreat, or it's open to all.
Anyone who's a member.
Anyone who's a member of Dzogchen Foundation can join. So these weekend retreats are a really great way to deepen your practice. And speaking of deepening your practice, there's also next weekend a master class, Lama's 3rd series of master classes. This coming Saturday, October 15th, from 11 to 1 p.m. Eastern. And this one will be on Dharma dances. So that'll be a very interesting topic. Hope to see you there. And without further ado, I think Lama is now coming back. Lama, please take it away.
Where should I take it, Ben?
Higher and higher.
If anybody doesn't know, our boy, Ben, who's been with us since he was 17 or 18, is a master classical guitar musician, etc., and lives in Berlin, and also a yoga teacher. He's really a master musician. Maybe some of you have heard him play at one of our retreats. Thanks, Ben, for being the tech wizard here. And nice to see you all. Samal and Laurel and Steve and John, Dr. John, my old doctor. And look, there's Vince Duggan and Mary Jo and Lester, David Hausman. Oh, Menla's here today. Haven't seen her lately, except she always shows up. Tara. I wish I could repeat all of your names. Fiona, yes, Lisa of Barry. There's Dr. Leo, the Shapiro himself. Saw him yesterday. His wife gave me one of her marvelous abstract flower paintings, now on my wall, Leo. Nice to see you all. It's a beautiful day here, autumn day. I'm trying to stretch the summer, waiting for Indian summer so I can go to the beach again. But how are you all? And there's a lot going on in the world these days, as usual, but maybe we're not always with so much of a shooting war in our face or nuclear threats and things, as well as other daring do going on in this country of immigrants. I'm not going to dwell on that, but let's have a moment of silence for all those who are suffering, all our brothers and sisters and others suffering in the Ukraine, where my grandmother comes from, and many of our Jewish forebears of the Pale of Western Russia and Eastern Europe, and all those refugees in the world, and people suffering the pandemic, poverty, injustice, and oppression, prejudice, gerrymandering, etc. Moment of silence and solidarity, opening the heart and mind, opening our hands, our arms, embracing all, one with all. Just for a moment. Take the sacred pause. Make the backward step, as the mystics say. Turn the spotlight, the searchlight inwards, as Gandhi said. Beyond, inside, and out. Big or small, good or bad. Lucky us. Thank you. Imaho. Om Ahum Vajraguru Pamasiddhiho. Om Ahum Enzaguru Pamasiddhiho. Om Ahum. Om Ahum Vajraguru Pamasiddhiho. Om Ahum Vajraguru Pamasiddhiho. Om Ahum. Om Ahum Vajraguru Pamasiddhiho. Om Ahum Mantra 5 Benza Guru Pamasiddhiho. Please join in if you feel like it. Singing is believing. Om Ahum Benza Guru Pamasiddhiho. Om Ahum Benza Guru Pamasiddhiho. Om Ahum Sangha Dharma Buddha. Vikaya Zimaho. Divine One, bless us, inspire us, point the way, show the way, model the way, so we too may walk that path and complete the spiritual journey to the boundless benefit of one and all, for a better future, be possible, a better world, which can begin right now. We've just had the day of atonement in the Jewish calendar. It's time we could turn around completely, have a spiritual rebirth. Get off the unhappy bus, change buses, or whatever. Please consider it. Change is inevitable, but intention a little subtler, more subtle. And as the Dalai Lama always says, everything depends on our motivation, our intention. Yamaho. Way to go. Thank you. Nice to see you all. Just sitting, just breathing, just being as you already isness, suchness, Tathagata Garbha, Buddha nature, Buddha-ness, incandescent presence, living spirit. What word can express the inexpressible, the ineffable? And yet there it is, almost palpable, nourishing, enlivening, illuminating, and enlightening, liberating wisdom tradition, heart opening, spiritual way, proactive, selfless compassion in action, not just reactive karmic activity, ego-based reactive karmic activity, but proactive, liberating Buddha activity, Dharma activity, Sangha activity. That's the triple gem. That's our reliance. It's like 3-in-1 oil, inseparable Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, for truth and wisdom. Second, true cultivation or practice. And third, true communion, beloved community. 3-in-1. Like here, Imaho. Occupy the space of the spirit. Don't leave it to some leader or person that lived 2,500 years ago. Occupy it oneself together. Imaho, wondrous, hallelujah, eureka, marvelous, amazing. Just breathing, what a miracle. Who's in charge of that, friends? Breathing in, not overlooking it, forgetting it, taking it for granted. Need to breathe. Breathing out, not overlooking it, ignoring it, taking it for granted. Need to breathe. Circulating, radiating, and reabsorbing. Dancing together, sitting together, vibrating together, alone together, each of us, all of us, Feel the sensations in the body, physical sensations, your buttocks on the seat, your feet, your legs, something on the floor, whatever. You notice stream of consciousness going by. So many thoughts like ripples and bubbles on the stream of consciousness, ocean of awareness, being more conscious of awareness itself, not getting lost in the contents, the flotsam and jetsam on the stream going by, all the pollution, all the runoff from previous acts, karmas. Not giving into attraction and aversion towards the flotsam and jetsam going by on the stream of consciousness, just being aware of it, enjoying the show, nothing more to know. Stream gazing, stream entry, ocean gazing, sky gazing, just gazing, not looking for anything, not staring, give yourself a headache. Just gazing, like from a hillock overlooking the ocean, for the sky, not counting the waves, not naming the clouds, just gazing. How sweet it is. This is the best view, the only view in town. Enjoy the view, savor the view, rest on the view, rely on the view. Settle in viewing. It's a process, not a thing. God is a verb, not a thing. Divine consciousness is a verb. Mindfully, awareing, being, to put it most succinctly, the essence as Kant called it, beneath conscious, semi-conscious, unconscious, one's true nature. Trusting that innate goodness, basic sanity, as Trungpa Rinpoche called it, Buddha nature, Tathagata Garbha, Buddha-ness, isness. Just sitting, feeling the physical sensations in the body, grounded, embodied. Second, just breathing, natural flow, natural energy, let it go. And third, just being as you already are, at ease, as is, just incandescent presence, Tao's hum, celestial music. Wow. Nothing more to do, figure out, remember, or know how sweet it is. Wow. Enjoy the joy, non-meditation, unmeditation, undoing the habit of overdoing. There is nirvanic peace and things left just as they are. So let things come and go, let go, let be. That's the secret. Letting go, letting come and go, letting be. Leave it as it is and rest the weary heart and mind. See through everything, all impermanent, ownerless, dreamlike phenomena and mind stuff. And rest unmoved, unconditionally present, allowing whatever arises to rise and dissolve on its own, enjoying the natural great perfection, the innate great wholeness and completeness in one's original nature. Wow. Way to go. Yes. I love you. Thank you. Ah. Ah. Breathe out. Turn yourself inside out like a bubble bursting in the sea in which it's never been apart. Let go of reference points. Go gaga. Drool a little. Why not? Nobody's watching. Let the inner child, the little Buddha, play. It's Sunday. Saturday's the day of rest. Leave everything at rest, as it is, without interference, judgment, or manipulation. Letting go, letting things come and go, letting be. Arising, dissolving on their own. Enjoy the show. Wow, wondrous. Resting at the origin of all things, the center of the cosmic mandala. Assume your Buddha seat, dear friends. Thank you. Enjoy the joy of non-meditation. Subject awareness practice. We are with Buddha and Buddha completely forever. Who has any existence outside of that? Who cares what anybody thinks or even what I think in this moment? Buddha is truth, beauty, wisdom, and love. Forever shall be fair. And we are at home and at ease together in the heart of all things in the home. Thank you. Ah, 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 ah. With the big out breath, the 5 hours. Open, aware, empty yourself totally. The Wizards of open everything, open your eyes, open your heart, mind, open your channels, open your tight fisted grasping, open the clenched knot of one's heart, of one's ego sense, selfishness, releasing, relaxing, relinquishing, emptying myself totally, the less of me, the more of thee, O Lord, O Lord Buddha. Voices with you. How fun it is in the heart. Love is the way, the truth, and the life. The light. The only way. You may meditate, study philosophy, chant mantras and prayers, do yoga, but without love, nothing. Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye So 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 Om Tare Du Tare Turiye So Om Tare Tu 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 Tare Turiye So Mr. Tara, the female Buddha, mother of all the Buddhas, removal of enlightenment, Paramita, Imaho Tara Yo Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye So 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 Tara, turn this way, Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye, heed us, help us. So Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye So transform us, transforming all. Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye So harmonize us. Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye So purify us, purifying all. Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye So Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye So embrace us, hold us, holify us. Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye So Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye So Tara Yay Tara Ho Tara Om Mami Premi Home Om Tara Tutare Turi Soha Om Jetson Palma Droma Che Che No Jidantu Nelpun Like Yad Soul, remove all obstacles and hindrances, open the path. May we all together realize inherent freedom and completeness and beauty, truth of just being, of authenticity, of naturalness, of being present and accountable, of keeping our agreements, and being a mensch, cultivating good character, integrity. Our best self, our bodhisattva nature in the heart. I bow to the Buddha in your seat. Don't overlook them. Tare, tutare turu swaha. Kutsupamu domu chechino jidan dunga kunle kabdu sol. Yay, Tara. Today's a special day here at Llama Lands, where the view is grand. There's a dog visiting. I'm all about dogs and horses and whales and dolphins too, I guess. Scratch a dog, find a god, etc. Bow, wow, and all that. You can read about it in my essay on the subject. It's published in some anthology. About my favorite dog, the dog I shared with Leela Kate Wheeler, Chandi, a white Shuvash sheepdog, Swami Chandananda, the sacred white loves dog. Now in the happy hunting grounds, I'm sure. I've been thinking about what's going on and trying to feel into it, intuitive sense, some of the deeper currents, origins, and future implications and connections of what's going on in the world around us, and of course also within us, which is more our subject here today in this hour, but not necessarily in the rest of the day or the week, where we're part of the greater net, the greater Sangha of all beings, as Thich Nhat Hanh called it, not just the Buddhist Sangha, but the Sangha of all beings, interconnectedness, interwoven, interdependent, interbeing. What Buddha called interdependent origination, Praticca Samutpada, the 12 links of interdependent origination, explaining, understanding, looking into that everything has causes and results. Every thought, word, deed, intention has implications, has results, and is not random, has something causing it. And how we can contribute today and plant better seeds and understand better about what season to plant in and what crops or actions or principles to apply where and here and then, and timing and all the rest. Wisdom and compassion, the Bodhisattva has two wings, not just always being left wing or right wing. As Gerard Depardieu explains in the movie Green Card. That's where I get my dharma from life. So I hope you're thinking about it too. None of us are getting any younger. As we progress in life, if you want to call it that, rather than say getting older or whatever. You know what they say, every birthday, 1 year closer to death. I mean, that's a nice cliche, but it's not entirely true. Who knows? Maybe we're getting closer to life, to authentic life, to really living our true life. Who knows? Hopefully, yes. Anyway, look around. None of us is getting any younger. Gray hairs and all. It's a Buddhist truth. It's a universal fact, of course, not Buddhist. So how are we going to live the rest of our life, or even today, and our days this week, and this stage of our life? And what, if anything, is next? Even if we're practicing living here now, still we might be planning or saving for our kids or grandkids or other well-chosen and loved dependents, let's call them, for college funds or anything. There's nothing more planning. Planning takes care in the present, takes place in the present. Planning for retirement, which we may or may not ever reach, is fine. It's a present awareness activity. But what are we really doing, and how should we live if this may be the last part of our life, whether it's 10 years or 30 years phase? And I do see some young people here, so, whatever it is the next phase is, to choose it, to be mindful of the possibilities and options and implications, not just to follow the herd like sheep, like lemmings, perhaps heading over a cliff, to live intentionally, not sleepwalking or semi-consciously sleepwalking through life, the mindful life, the intentional life. We call it in Buddhism bodhicitta, combination of aspiration, which sounds future-oriented, and wisdom or presence, which is now, wisdom and compassion. And as somebody was nagging me this week, I should start talking about not just the two wings, but the body of the bird, our own body, not forgetting our body, embodiment, physical life, the nitty-gritty of life, the dirt, the poop, the crying, the arguing, the anxiety, whatever so-called shadow sides of life. Yin and yang is dark and light. No judgment on either. I'm concerned about what kind of world we're leaving for our children. It's not too late. And our grandchildren and others. So let's all pull together before we're pulled apart. And especially with election season and election, and then president, our local presidential election in a couple of years, things could heat up a little more. Let's try to do everything we can to have a positive, meaningful, wise, loving, caring contribution or attitude, at least to life. Not be overreactive and give in to our lower selves, even if other people seem to be perhaps doing that. Of course, everything is so subjective, so it's hard to entirely believe in one's own party. As Stephen Stills, I think it was Stephen Stills, Crosby, Nash, Stills, Nash and Young wrote the song that they sang in the 60s before that band started. Everybody's marching in the streets. And what are they saying? Anybody remember? Hooray for our side. Doesn't matter what the contents are. Let's go. We're having a demonstration. Hooray for us. What we think, where we are. Telling other people how to be. So America's done plenty of that. All the colonial powers have. But more important to our subject here, the self has, the selfing is like colonialism, imperialism, taking over everything and then forgetting to be a benevolent dictator, if not a bodhisattva servant leader. The intellect is a good tool, but a poor master. The ego is necessary to be healthy, individuated adults, but not be our guru. Our whole selfing project, building up our life, also could become exaggerated, turn into empire building, rather than being a steward of ourselves and our land and our connections, our family, our loved ones, and in wider concentric circles, ultimately the whole world and all beings, the whole universe. This is an important time to think about these things, got to look into them, and body wisdom, not to mention health, is also part of it. So if the bird of the Bodhisattva is like a bird winging its way through sky, space, the infinite being, with wisdom, like head, and compassion, heart, if you want to break it up like that, the body of the bird is our body. The body of the Buddha is our body, Tuku, Namanakaya, embodiment, so embodied Dharma is also part of Dharma, not just enlightenment, mindfulness, meditation, wisdom, insight from the eyebrows up, way too mental. So, love is the way, the truth, and the life, obviously. I think Jesus said that, but it applies. In India, in the old days, in the old translations, whenever they talked about the Buddha, it was always called the compassionate Buddha, not just the enlightened Buddha. Look in the old books, he's always the compassionate Buddha of the old encyclopedias. It's important. Any questions or sharing, please? Ben, anybody been pen paling into you?
I got one here from Ben, not this Ben.
Don't confuse.
How do we stop? How do we stop mindfulness? But this is okay. It's getting a little meta here. How do we stop mindfulness from becoming an echo, or another way for the ego to take control?
Yes, that's something to be mindful about, aware of, conscious of, even vigilant about. Ego taking control of anything. What about like becoming, what about spiritual pride? That's ego taking control over our spiritual side or path. So paying attention, asking the question is good. Look into it. Since you're asking that question, then one might as well just say, how do we do anything without, whatever you said, ego taking control of it or being proud of it or taking extra credit for it, things like that. So one way, so everything is in a way laced with egotism in our selfing project and empire building of making our life as we grow up. But going from, dreams and wishes and desires to like aspirations and on and beyond and inclusive rather than selfish or narrow, then we start to see other possibilities like sharing or like doing things without taking credit. And this is huge. The whole message of the Bhagavad Gita, the second most translated or best-selling or whatever book in the world after the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita. The whole message, according to me, can be boiled down into do your duty and leave the rest to God. So whether we're theists or not, it means like the Tao Te Ching says in a more non-theistic context, same thing. The master does her best and let's go, whatever happens, happens. She continually, thoroughly does her best and lets go, and knowing whatever happens, happens. So an example is like giving without expectation of return. So that's dana paramita, not just contributing so your name gets on the wall of the building that you contributed to, or as I always say, giving $1 or a quarter to a panhandler in the street so they'll get out of your way. You sort of get off easy by giving them a little change. That's not really, or so you'll feel better. That's not entirely selfless giving. Caritas, as Jesus called, self-giving, without expecting in return. So I think, like, for example, doing things without taking credit for it can be a good practice. Anyway, since you asked about mindfulness and everybody's always using that word and, it can become a little tiresome. But yes, even mindfulness can seem like an ego practice. You can be proud, like I meditate longer than others, or I've been to more meditation retreats, or I I wrote more books about it than others, or something. But that has nothing to do with mindfulness. That's just the usual personality and ego and careerism and all that. So keeping an eye on the ego and in its place is the thing. You don't have to slay the ego to be mindful, but you can be mindful about the ego creeping in and telling people about it. That's one reason why most spiritual teachers around the world encourage people not to tell others about their mystical experiences, their spiritual experiences, their great insights, their one other thing just went out of my head. Anyway. Oh yeah, their good deeds, and so on. Not that it's shameful, but that way the ego can't take over, like with spiritual pride, boasting, comparing, be in some kind of grace race. More blessings, more grace, closer to the Guru, closer to God, and so on. People generally might say, they think, generally, I guess, that saints are closer to God than ordinary people. But I think from the point of view of God or Buddha, nobody is closer than everybody else. It's a mandala, it's a hologram, and every point contains the whole. There's no distance in time. That's very human, like comparative, competitive intellect, or dualistic intellect thinking. So I hope that's helpful, Ben. And meanwhile, I would say, since the ego is involved with pretty much everything, or almost everything, I guess, in our, quotidian lives, in our ordinary lives, then might as well practice mindfulness and good things and let the ego take credit for that, rather than being proud of, I don't know, how many notches you have on your belt of one kind or another, or how many people you've killed, or how many zeros you have after on your net assets, things like that. Mindfulness, if we practice it and understand it and learn it and train it and clarify it properly, whatever that means, finding out, is like self-destruct. I like the path of enlightenment. I'm trying to get enlightened, but in that is built in the self-destruction, like Mission Impossible. Remember the old Mission Impossible? The guy goes to the phone booth. Remember what those were? And he is listening to on phone or tape recorder. I don't remember. And it's like, this is your Mission Impossible. This message will self-destruct in 15 seconds. It's up to you whether you assume this mission. This message will self-destruct in 15 seconds. So unfortunately, this message may take a little more than 15 seconds or even 15 years, but who knows, for a slow learner or diligent practitioner or not. But in general, the Dharma will take care of itself and take care of us and erode the selfishness and overweening egotism. So mindfulness will wear out the ego involvement eventually and just be like as isness. When you're in the present, there's no past or future, and there's no self and other, there's no credit or blame and all that, there's no dualism. But we don't have to wait. It's mentioned from the first by Buddha about no separate self, that everything is impermanent, no owner or no separate self. Owner is not a bad translation. Like, do I really own my thoughts? Do I really own my body? Do I really own my land? As the Native Americans often question, who didn't own land. They couldn't understand why the invading Europeans thought they could own land at all. Take the land and own it. Anyway, anatta, no separate, independent, permanent self, is there from the beginning. Mindfulness will help one realize this, the true identity and nature of self, and false identity and spiritual falseness. have genuine authenticity, authenticness, whatever that means. I know it's subtle, but we're talking about subtle things. So I hope that's helpful. Good question. Thank you, Ben. That was probably from you, Ben, but you wanted to put somebody else on, blame somebody else for asking. Good, Ben.
Not this time. Not this time, Lama.
Because you're not allowed to ask questions.
That's right. I've already asked enough for this life.
Keep asking, then you two will know, as Colin J told me. Thank you all. Love to you all.
Thank you, Lama. Thank you, everyone, so much for attending today. Please consider joining the Dzogchen Foundation by becoming a member and also making a donation. And once again, October 21st to 23rd, we have the Advanced Meditation Retreat coming up, Living Enlightenment. And next Saturday, October 15th from 11 to 1 p.m. is the Masterclass, Course 3, Dharma Dances. So hope to see you there. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Thank you, Lama.
Stay healthy and well. Thank you all.